Hello, everybody. This is Brian Choper again with our third episode of The Business of Music, which you can find on www.tbmradioshow.com. And again, I am a drummer. I own Big Shot Records, and I manage several bands. And we're bringing you this broadcast and others in a series of episodes that, number one, will help the people and musicians listening on topics of the business of music. And on the show, you're going to hear what goes on behind the scenes of an artist, what goes on from the perspective of the audience during a show. We're going to have interviews with various different artists and musicology people, which Mickey will explain to you as we come along here. And the idea is to bring interesting and entertaining topics all about the music industry to you. Mickey is my co-host. Mickey, why don't you talk a little bit introduce yourself and take a minute to talk about what we're going to be talking about over the next 2 or 3 episodes.
Hi, my name is Mickey Hill of Photo Tracks by Mickey Hill, which is a photography business, and I photograph all events. I also have Support Live Music, which was created to highlight the local talent in the District of Columbia and the surrounding area. I've been a photographer for 20 plus years, and I grew up in the District of Columbia as a musician, currently not playing music, but definitely still enjoying my neighbors and friends nationally and internationally as they entertain us. And of course, the local musicians, that is where my heart lies.
And saxophone is your passion, as you keep on saying.
Saxophone is my passion. One day I will play Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Oh, one day. Okay, we'll have you on the air doing that at some point.
Okay.
So now you've explored over the past week certain bands, which you were going to. What bands were you going to briefly? We can talk about these as we go along, but what bands are you going to be talking about today?
Today we are going to be talking about some blues bands. Memphis Gold and Lynwood Taylor, they're blues artists in the area, but they're also national, and Memphis Gold is international as well. We will also be talking about some of the local artists, Jimmy Smooth, Sergio Quarterman, and also the Annapolis Bluegrass Coalition.
I'm looking forward to Sergio Quarterman. He's one of our artists.
Yes.
And we have music we'll play along with this as we get into the show.
Yes, we will have music to play along with it, and the videos will be on www.tbmradioshow.com. So you can go there and you can also view the videos there.
Right. So to be clear, we have a podcast or a radio cast that this will be placed on, and then we take the videos that we are using to explain the audio. We're having audio on the air,
right?
And then the videos of that will be on the page.
Yes.
On tbmradioshow.com.
Yes, and also you can listen to podcasts that were recorded prior to this on www.tbmradioshow.com as well. Okay,
so we were talking, going back to last week, we ran out of time, and we were talking, I think you said about we had talked previously about bands in the basement, and then we went to introducing your kids to music.
Yes. Our first topic of today is, how do you introduce your children to music? Do you turn pots over on the floor and give them little spoons to beat on?
Tupperware. That's what I did, Tupperware.
Do you sing in the mirror and ask your child to repeat after you? Or do you pull out your Casio keyboard and teach the child his ABCs on the keyboard? How do you do that?
I think if you're subtle, you don't. You can always sing and see if the kid, if everyone wants to sing. But the subtle thing that my folks did was simply to bring instruments home and leave them around, and I'd pick them up, play with them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
See,
Yeah.
uh, and I learned very quickly this old very important rule: never, if your intent is to leave the instrument home with the strategic plan of getting your curious kid to pick it up and play it, make sure that it's an instrument that sounds good, because the kid is not going to try to make the instrument sound good. They're going to try to play it and see if they like it.
So you wouldn't wait until the child's school offers music and then introduce your child at that point. You would introduce your child prior to that.
So you mean if you're lucky to have a school with a music program, so you're
Right.
yeah. Well, no, take it into your own hands. You can't wait for someone else to introduce your kid to music. You have to kind of do that yourself. Now, the one way to do it is to have the radio going on and see if the kid likes what you're playing. If you don't like what you're hearing on the radio, put other things on the radio that you hope your kid will like. There's a lot of
Okay.
music out there that isn't suitable for kids, and that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm saying, if you'd be surprised if you put your toddler in front of a radio that has opera, that kid may end up liking opera.
Yes,
Okay, if you put your child in front of jazz, that child may end up liking jazz.
that's correct.
Okay, now if you wait for your school to do it, the school's gonna the kid's gonna simply listen to what all the other kids are listening to, and you're gonna lose control over what they're exposed to. You cannot do that. You have to take charge of what your kid's exposed to. And part of it is the music, and part of it is the instrument. So we're talking two different things now. One is, do you want your kid to play an instrument, or at least see if they're interested in that? The other thing is, do you want them to be exposed to music? And I would never allow my school to, I would never expect to leave that to my school. And if you want them to hear rap and you expose them to rap, they're going to like rap. Hey, it's your child.
That's true.
So I say this: every good, well-rounded musician knows a little piano or a little guitar. So I'm talking right off the top now. I'm just thinking as you ask the question right now. The easiest instruments to learn are, in my opinion, the piano and the guitar. The piano because it's there, but not everyone has a piano in their house. Of course, today you can have a keyboard, electric keyboard, and make it affordable. And you also have headphones, so that the child can do that without. When I was young, they didn't have that. Okay, so you'd have to have a piano in the house. Okay,
Right.
now you can have a keyboard and get a halfway decent keyboard, a Korg or something, and have headphones and let the child see if they like it. Okay, I know that a lot of parents will think, oh, got to roll my child in piano lessons. And that's the biggest mistake, because piano is hard to learn if you're not wanting to learn it. It's not so hard if you want to learn it.
Hmm.
So get them to want to learn it and then give them the piano lessons. I think that if you're just giving them piano lessons without them saying, I want piano lessons, then you're just wasting. I don't see anything coming of that, except they can learn a bit of theory. But they can learn just as much theory by taking up guitar, which in my opinion is a more fun instrument. I have real small hands. The piano was hard for me, okay? But the guitar, that's nice, and you can take it along with you on the campfire, and on your date, or do whatever you want to do. You can't take the piano out on a date, but you can certainly go to the park and play guitar, and everybody likes it, and you're not chasing anybody away. In fact, you may even bring people around to sit around the campfire with the guitar. So that's what I would do. Now, for me, of course, it was violin and then drums. That's how it was. My folks wanted me into classical music. But by exposing me to music and going out and seeing a few shows, I realized that I liked the drums, and that's just the way
That's good.
that's just the way it worked. That's just the way it is. So I was my parents were not into rock, man. I heard that at my neighbor's house.
Mm.
Yeah, that was now if I brought the music home, they didn't mind it, but they kind of went into the other room, which was their silent way of saying, yeah, you can do what you want, but I'm going to go and do my thing. And they wanted opera and classical music. So I learned all about that. Okay. Now, of course, you get into school, junior high, high school, they are afraid to teach rock. I think that they just think there's something about it. So they get into swing and big band and concert music and classical music, things like this, and they're not afraid of that. But I think there's a thing about rock and roll, and I never saw any, even in colleges. I don't necessarily always see them getting into the rock and roll. But I'll tell you something. Some of our best music is rock and roll.
That is very
I
true.
mean, I mean, this is it kills me when I see that. So you cannot expect the school system, to expose your kid.
Okay.
You have to do that, and you then have to supplement whatever your school is showing them with what you think they should.
So, but in
Yeah.
the school system, they may send the child home with one instrument. Is that correct? I know in my school they did. They sent the child home with one instrument, so you never got the opportunity to be well-rounded in all instruments.
Okay. First of all, I don't think that you want to to have your child take more than one instrument home. But I also think that if the child doesn't like it, take it back and get another one. Now, if they say that's all we have, that's ridiculous. Okay,
Yeah.
then you got to go ahead into the music store and rent for a month something else.
Yeah.
I mean, this is investing in your kids. It's investing in your kids. You can be cheap about it. That's what I've seen a lot of people do. Be cheap about it. They just don't want to. They want to get something cheap to see if their kid. They don't want to. They're not expecting anything to happen, so they don't invest anything in it. Big mistake. You just never know. Okay, so go to the music store. You can talk to the owners of the store. In fact, we're going to have Bruce. Now that we're talking about this, we're going to have Bruce Packett on.
Right.
Who owns Baytunes Music
Yes.
in Annapolis, and he's going to come on specifically to talk about his experiences in rock and roll. He's also the lead guitarist in my band Nexus, but he owns a music store, and we've talked about the fact that he helps the parents figure out what instruments and what music to introduce. In fact, they have a program there where they actually start bands up.
Oh,
Depending on if you're beginning, intermediate, or advanced, and they will put a band together for you to play in.
that's interesting.
Yep.
That's interesting. And also, I think it's important for the parents to know that you can rent these instruments. You don't have to buy
No.
the instrument, and then the child may not be interested in it.
Well, that's the point. You don't want to buy.
Yeah.
You don't want to buy because you don't know what the child's going to do. I was given a banjo when I was a kid, and I played it for about 3 days. And I'm not sorry I dropped it, but it wasn't for me. You know, for a lot of people it is. I've seen high school kids jamming on harmonica, and I'm thinking, well, you can be in my band, but I'm not playing that. But you can play that, but if you want to sit in with the blues, and it's fun, but it's not me. You know, it's for other people. It's their thing. So
Okay.
nothing wrong with that. It's just everyone's got their thing. Everyone's got their thing. So for me it was drums. And then I, over the many years, began to realize that a lot of people consider drums a supplemental instrument, a backup instrument to back up main artists, and I had always looked upon it like a main instrument for a rhythm section, but I never looked upon the rhythm section as the artist who back up another artist. Never looked upon that. Okay, so singers look upon the band as what backs them up. I look upon the singer as an integral part of the band where they play together. And I've never been interested in a band that's all about the singer. Never been interested in that. It's about the whole unit doing what they do. Some people, their instrument is their voice.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And that's okay. But then they think, oh, I just need to sing. I don't need to learn any music theory. And then seriously, and we have I've met a lot of singers who don't know how to read music. You don't know how to do anything except sing. You're shaking your head.
That's not good.
All right. So that's what I would say, and you gotta experiment with it, and you gotta spend some time on it because you have to do it in a subtle way. If you push your child on it, I don't know if that's gonna work either. But the one thing you don't want to do is give them some instrument that is junky or that doesn't sound good. Hey, I've seen a kid come home with a trumpet with the valves that don't work.
Oh, that's
Okay,
not good.
okay.
That's
And I'm
not
thinking, why do you even give this to the kid if the valves don't work? What do you expect him to
good. They
do?
got that from the school, or
Yeah, and it was private school. It wasn't even public school.
My school.
Okay, and I took the valves apart and I see bent shafts. It's all bent up, and I'm thinking, why are they even giving this kid this instrument just to get him all frustrated? That's all you need to do is get him all frustrated.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. But how would the teacher teach on an instrument that isn't even working properly?
Well, that's the teacher's job to have made sure that was not happening. But I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, why are you even playing with this? So I've seen a lot of that.
Okay.
Hey, I was 13, 14 years old, and my parents got me a set of bells. I think I talked about this in one episode, but and the bells were very, very, very high pitched, and they bothered my ears, and they were perfectly tuned and all this, but they were high pitched, and it drove me crazy, and I never played them. So then my parents said, "I guess you're not interested." And I'm thinking, I never said that, but I'm not playing that. And it never went anywhere. That we just closed it up, and then never came back to it. They didn't understand. And as a little kid, I'm not able to necessarily say, I'm not going to play that because I don't like them.
Right.
They interpret that as, I'm not going to play that because I don't like playing them. And we'll be right back. Okay, and we are back, and we've talked a lot about music and your kids, but let's go ahead and get into some music for our listeners to hear. And Mickey, explain what we've got.
Okay, our first two songs are by Memphis Gold. Memphis Gold, born in Memphis, Tennessee in 1955, his name is Chester Chandler. He was the 13th child of 14. His father, also a musician, introduced his son to the guitar at the tender age of 4. By the age of 8, he was a regular on historic Beale Street in Memphis, where he played the guitar and danced for pocket change from the crowd. At the age of 12, his guitar skills were honed, learning licks at the knee of legendary Delta picker and gospel player Reverend Robert Tim Wilkins.
Now, what's interesting here is, again, we're always hearing about these artists that make it starting at age 4, 3, and 4, and 5.
Yes.
See?
Starting early, young.
Right.
So this song is by Memphis Gold, and it's called Big Leg Woman.
Big leg woman. I think you need to hold your left heel down. What you got down there, woman, will make a bulldog kiss a hound. Oh, yeah. A moment of silence, please.
So, what turns you on to that? It's cool in its own way, and the lyrics, very interesting.
When I met Memphis Gold, I said, Memphis Gold, you wrote that song for me, didn't you?
Oh, my goodness.
But in reality, he wrote the song, he recorded the song long before we met. But it's just a little joke that I like to say to him. Mm-hmm. But Memphis Gold, great blues man. If you ever get the chance, he's here locally and nationally and internationally. If you get the chance, definitely check out Memphis Gold. If you love the blues, you'll love Memphis Gold.
Gotcha. What you got next?
Next, we want to talk about your child into music. They're practicing their craft. They're singing or they're playing an instrument. And you meet a person like Brian Chopper, who owns Big Shot Records and Washington Entertainment Connection, and you want your child to connect with Brian Chopper or with someone like him. How do you do that? What do you do? You as a parent may say, my child is the greatest thing since sliced bread. My child is great. He or she can sing. He or she can really play this instrument, and I really want you to hear them.
You know, I hold on there, because if I get a parent contacting me,
Yes.
I don't want my parent talking. I don't want to hear a parent talking as though they think their child is the best thing. I mean, that's okay for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I want them to say, hey, my son or daughter, I think is very talented, and I'd like your opinion on this. I think it's really good. Can you take 5 minutes and listen to this and tell me what you think? Because I hear all the time, not from parents, but everybody saying that the best thing since the new bread was sliced. And I'm like, look, maybe 5% of them are really good. Now, when they are, you're like, wow, I want to know this person because they're good. But don't butter me. Don't talk like that. Let me hear it. And if I like it, then I would be more inclined to call you if I know that you're centered than if I think that you're great. Because the people who think that they're great, especially when they're new in the business, are the difficult ones to deal with. Because they think they're great, and they think they're deserving, and they think they're owed a lot of times, and they have their head in the clouds about it, and they're divas. Not all of them, but it's more common than you think that someone just thinks, oh, I'm awesome. Well, I don't want you to think you're awesome. I want you to think you're good. Especially if you're young, you probably have things to learn. And if I'm teaching you those things, or going to say, hey, this is good, but this is what you need to do, I don't want them to say, well, I thank you for your advice, click. I have too much stuff going on to be dealing with that. But if they want to hear constructive input, that's fine. But I would be less inclined to do that if I'm getting, hey, man, I'm great. Check out this album. I get that. I'm great. Check out this album. It's more like, hey, we're finally playing at the XYZ Club. We just cut this LP. Can you please take a look at this? And I have had people do that, and some of them are really, really good, and it was worth it. But just keep in mind, your opinion isn't necessarily what I would necessarily first gravitate to. That's all I got to say about that.
So how would a parent present their child's music to you? Would it be on a CD? Would it be on a DVD?
I just had a lady who met me in 2002. Real scenario. We did a wedding for her way back, and we were touring, and we did the wedding as part of the tour. And she calls me up and says, hey, I see all the things you've done. My second daughter is now 20, and she plays piano. And I just thought, I think she's great. She's in music school. Can you take a look at it? And it took me a week and a half to get to it, but I took a look at this, and she is talented. She's good. She's good. I said, when you have a chance, give a call back, and we can chat about, because I also think that she has very good presentation, but maybe her website needs to be tweaked or this or that way, or the presentation, and I had thoughts for that initially. And then what goes in my mind is, who could I introduce her to? And I began to have ideas about that. But first I want to see if she's centered. I haven't spoken to her. I spoke to her mom. See? And the mom is not the kid. Two different things. So I emailed the mom back and said, let's talk if your daughter wants to. and we'll see what happens. But the fact of the matter is, she didn't say, "Hey, she's great." She said, "Would you take a listen and tell me what you think?" That's all it took. Okay, so.
Okay. So when you present your child, you should already have the child's website set up and running. So whoever you want to look at your child, is that correct?
Well, you have to have something to show me.
Okay.
Now, I would understand if they don't have a website.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say send me a link to something on YouTube or just anything, so I have to have an idea of what they can do. So no, not necessarily a website, but a website means if they do have a website,
Mm-hmm.
it shows that they're committed to working to getting done what they need to do. I've seen a lot of adults artists who don't have websites, just have Facebook. And I'm thinking, what is your problem? What are you trying to do? You're just another artist, if that's what you have, if that's what you think it is. You need a website that shows that you are spending time and taking yourself seriously, because that's what I'm looking. I'm looking for people who are taking themselves seriously.
And I think it saves time if they have something to present, because long ago, a band actually had to go to a venue to do a audition. And now they can go to whatever media you can present it on, and they can see exactly what you're doing.
You just got to cut through the clutter now. Here's the problem with that. I mean, everyone thinks, I don't need an agent, I don't need representation, I just need you to put my clip up there and send it to all my friends. No. First of all, YouTube gets it out there, but you got to get around all the clutter. You got to have people who know how to get around the clutter. Okay. Secondly, if you want to go ahead and play $100 a night, $150 a night at some bar, then all you need is your little YouTube clip and your Facebook. But if you want for people to take you seriously as a real artist, you need to have something going on where you are working with an agency or an agent or somebody or a publicist or somebody who can show that you're not just... See, the music business is not just about your talent. It's about the people who are hiring you, trusting you to be there, trusting you to be professional, and trusting you to do the business right, to be there, to have a good show. And they're never going to give you a big contract or take you seriously if you haven't done the things to prove that you're willing to take yourself seriously. Okay? You're never going to get a major deal unless you have done the things that convince or help convince the agency or the rep that you are ready for them. Okay. So a YouTube clip is what I would need to give someone advice, but does that mean I would sign them? No, that's different. That's a whole different ballgame. Okay. To sign them, I would need to know if they are a personality who's reliable.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a pain and it's just a headache to working with someone who I mean, I literally have had artists who've called me up and said, check out my album, I love it, and I've emailed them back saying, hey, this is great, call me. And they say, well, I'm busy on this day and on this day and on this day and on this day and this day, but if you want to call me at 7 o'clock on a Sunday night, I may have time to talk to you. And I'm thinking, are you doing me a favor or am I doing you a favor? And a lot of these people, I just write them off. They're not ready.
Oh.
They're not ready for me.
Okay.
You gotta be there when you're called, not when it's convenient for you. So no. So that's part of it. I don't want to work with someone who's not ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's a state of mind as well as as well as your talent.
Okay.
I'm preaching. So enough of that.
So now we're going to listen to another song by Memphis Gold. It's called "Do You Still Want Me?"
Whoa, baby, do you still want me? Whoa, baby, do you still want me? You broke my heart and you're using me. Whoa, baby, I never done you wrong. Whoa.
So that's a combination. That's a combination of blues and Caribbean.
Yes.
I like that. I like that.
And Memphis Gold, he hires some of the local musicians to help him, different musicians from time to time. So that gives certain ones an opportunity to be on the stage and to sometimes tour with him as well.
I liked it. That was good. That was good. Okay. And are any of these artists playing here anytime soon, or
Memphis Gold plays at JV's in Arlington, Virginia, one Sunday a month. I'm not sure which Sunday in December he was there or he's going to be there.
But
so I'll have to check her schedule.
We can put that on the website.
Yes, we can. We're going to have a section that talks about some of the local groups and where they are going to be performing. So for those of you who send me invites on Facebook, that's a good way for me to know where you're going to be and when. So keep your invites coming. I appreciate it.
Yep. And we will be right back. And we are back. It seems we have a blues. Mickey, you're in a blues world here today.
In a blues mood.
I did not know that. So this is now, we're going to go into more blues. but it's different. The first one was blues, typical blues, and now the second one was blues Caribbean.
Yes.
That was awesome. I like that. So what have you got now? What's your third?
Okay, now we're going to hear some music from Lynwood Taylor and the Lynwood Taylor Band. Lynwood hails from the nation's capital blues scene with one of the most highly respected names in the blues community, with touring credits throughout the U.S. and European blues circuits.
Okay.
And this is titled The Road of Love by the Lynwood Taylor Band.
So, what made you choose that track?
I have not yet heard Lynwood Taylor live, but I do plan to see him, and so I thought this would be a good track to play for everyone to hear him and to encourage those who like the blues to also check out the Lynwood Taylor Band.
Okay. Let's hear one more.
Okay.
Give me something crazy different.
Our next track by Lynwood Taylor is Don't Diss Me.
I beg your pardon. Don't talk to me that way. I didn't stutter.
better hear every word I say. I ain't the kind of man that's got to be the boss, but I ain't the kind of man that you ever want to cross. Don't diss me, baby. Don't talk to me that way. There ain't no future in it, and you best be minding what you say. Don't raise your voice to me. Don't even raise your hand. Whatever kind of fools you used to, I ain't that kind of man. I ain't like nobody that you have ever seen. My picture's in the dictionary, right next to the word mean. Don't diss me, baby. Don't even talk to me that way. There ain't no future in it, and you best be.
That was a real. I mean, I like the type of drumming where you're hitting the hard pocket.
Yes.
Yes, that's the kind of thing.
You're welcome to go with me to see the Lynwood Taylor Band if you'd like to.
We'll see what happens. When
Yeah.
are they playing? When are they
They
playing?
usually play at JV's, but I'm going to check the schedule and make sure when they're going to be there.
All right, well, let me know this.
Because I haven't seen him yet either, so it'll be...
Oh, you have not?
He will be excited, yes. I'm sure he'll be excited to see
Okay.
us both there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Brian and I were talking one day over coffee, and he brought up the subject of bluegrass.
Okay.
And so I did a little research on bluegrass because it's a genre of music that I was not familiar with. So bluegrass music is a form of American roots music and a related genre of country music, influenced by the music of Appalachia.
Yes.
Bluegrass has mixed roots in Irish, Scottish, and English traditional music and was also later influenced by the music of African Americans through incorporation of jazz elements. And so this was very interesting to me because, as I said, I was not familiar with that genre of music, but I found some quite interesting music in bluegrass, which we could also go see or ask them to come in and speak with us at some point.
Or have them do a live broadcast.
Now that would be exciting.
Sure, we can work that out and see what we can do. And
Yeah.
we would do this in Baltimore. We have a studio in Baltimore
Okay.
that we could bring the band to and just do that.
And there's an Annapolis Bluegrass Coalition, which we do have some music from them. I have not yet met them, but it would be very interesting to meet them and to hear them live. It would be very interesting to do that.
We could bring them to Chopper Studio 1 in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce these people. It could be one band. We could also have a get-together,
Yeah.
meet and greet.
They have played with the city of Bowie and other places as well. But the video that we took for our music today came from a video that was done by the city of Bowie, Maryland.
You know what we should do? We should do a few shows up there featuring these bands so that people can see them, and have a VIP ticket section of people who want to come. And we can. It's going to be limited seating, but we can do that and bring people in there, and they can see the band perform live.
That would be good.
We'll do that. Let's
That
work
would be good.
that out. Okay. So neat. Now, for our upcoming episodes,
Yes.
it seems to me like we had talked about. You had basically, we had discussions about how an artist should prepare for an audition as far as dressing or their appearance for an audition.
Right. How does an artist dress for a musical job interview?
Mm-hmm.
And would he dress differently for a job interview for a basement band as opposed to a musical job interview for a classical band?
It's kind of like if we brought a band to here at Chopper Studio 1 in Baltimore, would we have a dress code? Would we have a dress code?
Mm-hmm.
The band probably doesn't. Band members are so used to being told what the dress code is for the show that they often don't think about what they need to dress when they have to do something for themselves on their own that is not part of a band. And casual formal is what I would do, first of all. Again, everything you do as an artist has to make people understand that you're serious. Okay? So we can talk about the dress code, but I think what we would probably do is bring band in and make sure they look good, because they need to know how to look good. And we'll bring an audience and get the audience to rate the band. I'm just thinking about this, but I think that this would...
Yeah.
So, Mickey, why don't you set it up where we can ask people to reach out to you on Facebook
Okay.
if they want to partake in that. The
Okay.
bands or the people, if they would like to be part of the audience
Okay.
for that. Now, I were kind of spontaneous, and so this was an idea that I just had. But why the heck not? Let's do something up there, bring people in, and we'll talk to the audience about what they think of the band.
Okay.
They'll be part of your live music DC.
Yes.
Support Live Music DC.
And again, you can hear this podcast and others on www.tbmradioshow.com.
Yes. And who will be some of the people? We have a list of people that's growing faster than we can deal with it, of people who we're going to invite on the show.
Yes. We would like to invite Joe Quarterman, which back in the day I knew him as Sergio.
Yes. Sergio Quarterman is signed with Washington's Entertainment and Big Shot Records. And in fact, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be debuting a new single that he just did. That we've just finished
That's
mixing and
exciting.
mastering.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, and we're gonna, I guess, bring him on the show to do that on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to ask Lou Durham, who I met last week.
What'd you think of
Tell us
him?
a little bit about Lou.
What'd you
Lou
think
he's great. He sings, he plays, he writes, arranges. So he's pretty well-rounded.
He's 30-some years in the Army Band, just retired, head keyboardist, writer, arranger, and as you saw, Mickey, he writes a lot of music.
Yes, he does.
And we're gonna share some of that music also in a few weeks, or in the next few weeks. He's gonna come and he's gonna play some of this, I guess, on the show.
Great.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are my friends on Facebook, I did post a picture of Lou playing the piano and reading, but he also ad-libs. He's written his own music. He plays cover songs. He's very well-rounded, so it'll be very interesting to see him, to meet him, and to hear him.
And he's the newest addition to the Chopra Jazz Band with Peter Cannella.
And I will have to check him out in the band.
Yeah, that's right.
We're also going to invite Bruce Packett.
Yes. The lead guitar player from Nexus. Yes.
And I have met Bruce. That's going to be very enjoyable to have him on the show. And also, Bruce has his own business, correct?
Yes. Yes. Baytunes Music.
Okay.
And again, we're going to have him come on and talk about how he chooses the gear for the place and what particular instruments he thinks the professional should go for versus the amateur or intermediate player, how to introduce your kids to music. That's a science and an art to do that. And what new things he's got going on. Yeah.
That's great. We're also going to invite Jeffrey Neal, drummer. Locally, I met him in Washington, D.C., and he also has his own line of music paraphernalia, clothing. So we're going to have Jeffrey in, and he'll tell us a little bit about his clothing, Pray with drums, and some of the other things that he's doing that are exciting.
He's got a clothing line.
He's got a clothing line.
Okay.
And we're also going to ask Melvin Washington to be a part of the show.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Melvin?
Melvin is a video and sound engineer. He's extraordinarily good at what he does. We work with him a lot in our live shows because I just know he can come in and handle any aspect of it, from the video to the audio. I think we have him working more of the audio, but he's a great supervisor with the whole project. He's a musician himself. He's a keyboard player. Really, really good. Really good. And what I love about him is I know that when the band's performing, the mix is going to be right. Yeah, that's important. Not a lot of engineers have that down, where the mix is right for the band. And so when you have Melvin doing sound for you, you're going to have a good time as a band.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes. So we just finished talking about a lot of people that are coming on the show, and a lot about band things. So let's go back to some music, since we're talking about bluegrass and
Yes.
Appalachian music. And I think it'd be nice to hear something else. Let's go in as we get near the end of the show.
Okay.
Well, we are coming near the end of this segment. There's always so much to talk about, but it's nice to hear the music too.
Yes, and remember you can see the podcast on www.tbmradioshow.com.
Yep, my name is Brian Choper,
And my name is Mickey Hill.
and as we listen to the music, have a good day, and we'll see you next time.
For that love back home. Find a job and make a friend. Stay a while just to change the trend. Always searching for that love back home.